there's no way I self-sabotage myself because I'm so successful. Like,
From growing a 6-figure creator business to burnout and back again, Modern Millie is an expert at putting the business back in creator business.
you are your biggest business investment. You need to really invest into yourself and your self-care if you want to take your business seriously.
I spoke with her at VidSummit about the boring tools that unlock major earning potential, overcoming bottlenecks when scaling your content business, and the one thing that beginning creators always seem to forget.
From the outside looking in at everything that you have built as an influencer, as a creator, it seems like things are going really well. Has that always been the case?
I guess from the outside looking in, it is very like, wow, she's got all her ish together. I think something that's helped me was in corporate, I was a project manager, and organization is something that I've always loved. So since day one, I was like, how can I organize all of my tasks? You know, like that was the first thing I would do is organize my to-do list, not even create content. It was how can I organize my process? So it was pretty organized from the beginning. And something that I had to learn was just like done is better than perfect, and getting content out or just like doing the dang thing. And then as it gets done, make the adjustments. So like my first year of launching digital products, I made digital products. I was proud. I got like 5 products out. They were on my website, done. But that year I made maybe $2,000 total profit from those products, which like isn't that much. So it was done, but it wasn't perfect. So we had to take a step back. It's like, okay, how can we improve sales? Let's build out funnels. So it's just like kind of evolved over time. You get stuff done, you see what can be fixed, and you make those changes along the way.
But I bet at the moment, like, were you still like, $2,000 is a lot compared to 0 and not doing it and fretting over getting everything perfect?
Yeah, well, even like the first month when I launched the digital products and got maybe like 10 sales, I was like, whoa, people are buying things.
We're going out to dinner.
Yeah, like let's go celebrate, right? So I guess you're right. Like as you make those steps, everything or every new customer, every milestone is a big deal. I think creators, even myself, I do this all the time. I hit a milestone and I forget to celebrate it. So like when I said, oh, it was like $2,000 not a lot, at that time, yeah, it was a lot. But once you hit those milestones, you forget to celebrate, and I forget to celebrate. I forgot to celebrate. And that's just like a reminder to me, like acknowledge where you came from, remember where you came from, where you started. And even just like with followers, when you hit 1,000 followers, you don't celebrate that.
Right.
You go, okay, well now let's get 10,000.
Right.
And then you hit 10,000, you don't celebrate it. And you're like, well, like, now I need 20,000. Nothing's ever really, you're always looking at that next thing.
Right.
So
what were your takeaways from that process of no income from digital products to 2,000 and then subsequent years, and you're kind of going through this process of professionalizing yourself as a creator, right?
Yeah.
You go from beginner and then you get to $2,000, you're like, well, how do we quadruple that?
Yeah.
So what were the big learnings in those first few years as you went from beginner to like semi-pro to now professional creator?
Yeah, I dabbled in a lot of different income streams just to see what worked best for me and my business. And I sold what I knew I could sell. Like, so I'd start with coaching, you know, I knew people wanted coaching from me. So that's what I started with. And I think the transition from like $2,000 to 6 figures, almost 7, is figuring out, one, like the bottlenecks, what's holding you back from scaling, and 2, how can you increase efficiency with your sales? So like the digital product example, in a year, I made 2,000, maybe 3,000 in sales. And it was like, okay, well, how could I do 2,000 to 3,000 in a month or per month? And thinking, what's holding me back from doing that? And it's like, a lot of it was I didn't have the time. And that's because I was coaching and doing one-on-one, and it's like, okay, well, if I didn't coach, how could I replace that income with a course? And so that evolved into my course, where now I could teach more people without it taking up my time. And now my time can be focused on content creation, where I plug my digital products in my YouTube videos, or I hired, now with the income from my course creation, I've hired a funnel strategist to build out the proper funnels so that we are making a couple thousand per month with digital products. So I really think it's just like take it a day at a time and you learn. There's no win and lose. It's like you live and you learn, you win or you learn. And it's just like learning through every phase of revenue, every phase of income.
If you could think back like to one moment, one specific bottleneck where like you were able to remove it and you saw a disproportionate outcome from that in terms of revenue increasing, what was that bottleneck and how did you go about removing it?
Okay, I'll tell you 2 bottlenecks.
Perfect.
The first one is actually what was taken out that caused dramatic decrease, which I think is a good one
That's
to talk
important.
about.
Yes.
Yeah. So the biggest bottleneck I've noticed is me.
Always. That's always how it
I'm
works.
always getting in my way.
Yeah.
And I guess the example of that is last year, I'm like content creation. I was doing coaching. I had a membership where I was also coaching in the membership, all the students, and it was a lot of my time was being spent. And I got really sick. I was going to the hospital and for 3 months, really sick for 3 months, didn't know what was going on. And because I was pulled out of my business, I realized I didn't have systems set up to keep my business going if something happened to me. And that caused a decrease in income because I was doing all active incomes where it's like, as long as I show up, I'm making money.
Yeah.
And because I wasn't able to show up, I couldn't do brand collaborations, I couldn't do coaching, the memberships stalled, and I like had to tell people like, hey, I'm gonna put this on pause, I have to cancel it, like I literally can't show up. And so that caused a dramatic decrease. So figuring out how to set up passive income was the biggest way for me to income to the next level. When it comes to a bottleneck that I was able to kind of sort through to see dramatic increase was funnels, which like a lot of content creators, they might hear funnels and they're like, that sounds so fun.
Yeah.
Or even email lists. Like you hear email lists and you're like, yeah, I know, but I'm going to ignore that piece of advice. That was me. Like, I totally would ignore the email list advice because I'm a content creator. I don't need an email list.
Yeah.
I'm going to do brand collaborations. And once I added an email list and I grew that, and then we set up the funnels where they get like a freebie or even they buy one digital product, they're put into like the email funnel where they're upselling. And just to like show how much this increased, so we had first year of digital products out,
Yep.
$2,000-$3,000 total for that year.
Okay.
As soon as I had my funnel strategist, she worked 6 months building out these funnels. As soon as we activated the funnels, $3,000 within the first 30 days of them being activated.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, so that's why everybody says to do email lists and like marketing funnel strategy. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is good stuff.
You mentioned the membership, but I'm pretty sure that membership doesn't exist anymore. Is that correct?
Right. That was like my first OG membership that I had started. I had like just jumped into content creation. I was getting monetized on YouTube. I was doing brand collaborations and I heard the tip of like, you need 6 streams of income.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I need a membership. Everybody does memberships. So I was like, I'm going to start one. And I think I jumped into it too soon. I didn't have a strategy in place, and I overpromise. I overpromised people, not knowing what my personal limitations were. So I had promised, like, okay, every week, 1-hour trainings on a new topic. On top of that, I'm going to send you guys videos every week that teach these topics, and then we have monthly challenges where every month we're going to work on this, and I'll keep y'all accountable by posting. And so I just like offered too much, and that really burnt me out. So that's why I stopped that membership. And I was like, okay, if I do a membership again, I need to reevaluate what's my strategy going to be, what's realistic for me to promise, and what's actually helpful for my audience.
I think that's so powerful. Everything that you just said, and you mentioned like doing too much. And I know burnout is an important topic to you.
Yeah.
So what were your takeaways or things that you share with other people who may be going through the same thing where they overextend themselves without really realizing it and then enter this phase where they're just like, exhausted mentally, physically, emotionally, and
Yeah.
aren't quite sure what to do to recover from that and get back on the path.
Obviously, that's a sign. Take a step back, take a break, take care of yourself. But during that break where you're resting, really figure out the root problem to why you experienced burnout in the first place. And not just the surface levels of, oh, I was burnt out because I was doing too much. Like, no. Why were you doing too much? Why did you say yes to this opportunity? Why did you say yes to doing this? Why did you add that to your plate? Why were you busy? Why were you doing this? Like, really get to the root problem. And that's something that I've had to like really do a lot of self-discovery. I'm reading this book called The Mountain Is You, and talks about a lot of different levels of self-sabotage. And for me, I was like, there's no way I self-sabotage myself because I'm so successful. Like, I was like, I self-sabotage who? Like, I don't do that. Joke's on me. There's so many ways self-sabotage displays or shows itself in different people. And for me, one of my self-sabotage habits is by being busy. That's a way you can self-sabotage. Yeah. And so I've had to discover, okay, why am I so busy all the time? Being busy makes me feel what? Being busy makes me feel like accomplished. I feel accomplished when I get stuff done. I feel productive. What's the opposite of that? Okay, well, if I'm not productive, then I'm lazy. And so what that means to me is like, if I'm not busy, then I'm lazy and I'm a failure. So like, I've had to like reestablish my mindset on what busy means and saying yes to things and finding a balance of like, okay, I'm only going to work 4 hours every day, and trying to get comfortable with not doing things, which has been really hard because I'm somebody who's always loaded my plate up, and I've just had to get comfortable with doing nothing, which I'm still not comfortable with, but I'm trying. Yeah. It's just like a journey that I'm on right now of figuring out not just how to take care of myself, but like, why did I have to do that in the first place? What caused me to get to this point?
Based on everything we just talked about, your membership experience, your burnout experience, your bottleneck experiences, how does that inform what you do in the next 6 months, 12 months, 18 months? How does that inform everything you do in the future?
So everything that I've just talked about has been a journey over the past 11 months, and I'm still trying to figure out what self-care looks like so I don't reach that point. But something that I realized back in March, which was months ago, was the best way for me to scale my business is to not be the face of my brand. And to reach more people, I can't rely on just me. It can't be about me. It has to really be about the creator. And the best way to reach more creators is by building a community of like other educators like myself and other influencers, and teach on a wider scale. So that's why I had the idea of starting a membership that isn't about Millie. It's about the influencer who wants to learn anything and everything about becoming a full-time influencer, and it's taught by multiple educators on different levels in different niches, showing like huge representation and inclusivity. So that's kind of where my next goal is, because it can't rely on me anymore, because I was the biggest bottleneck for at least my goals. I was holding things back because I couldn't perform the way I wanted to. And if I'm able to not be the face of the business, and I'm able to just like take a step back and really help expand, reach other creators, I think that was the best move for me, starting a membership and not burning myself out.
What's your advice to people who like don't want to scale? So somebody because there's a difference between a creator who wants to just create a lifestyle business or create lifestyle type content and live off that, versus the creator who wants to build a brand or business or multiple businesses. And how do you navigate deciding which is right for you?
The first thing that comes to mind, there's a term that Brock Johnson coined called like viral for you, and it's about like content creation. And when you make a video, don't compare your video to someone else's viral video. You need to figure out what's viral for you. And I think that thinking goes into this answer as well, of figuring out what success means to you. What lifestyle do you want? Not comparing what you want to some TikTok person who's like, I had to redo my closet, so I bought 700 hangers. And I'm like, 700 hangers? Like, girl, like you're comparing lifestyles. So figure out like what is a sustainable lifestyle for you and one that you could truly enjoy. If you have to do a journaling session where you just like sit outside in the morning with your dog and your cup of coffee and close your eyes, picture what that perfect morning or your perfect work routine looks like. And then from there, just figure out what you have to do to get to that level. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It doesn't have to be, I want to be the CEO and have 20 people on my team. You know, it's just do some vision work, figure out what you want, what's best for you, and then just create a plan to get there. You don't have to compare your journey to anybody else's and find what's like viral for you, but find what success is for you.
So I'm sure you're overrun with people reaching out to you, DMing you, emailing you about, I have a great opportunity for you. How do you go about evaluating what's the right opportunity for you, your desires, your businesses, all that?
There's a few ways, and different ways will work for different people. I think one, do a gut check. You know, really check your gut, sit with your gut, sleep on it overnight if you have to. A lot of deals, I get really tempted to like, oh, this sounds so good, this sounds so good. And I want to reply right then and there. Give it 24 hours. Give it 24 hours, sleep on it. And if in the morning, like you're still hyped about it, you talk to maybe your loved ones and like some friends who are supportive or family or partner, and they're like, yeah, this is great, and you're both on board, then do it. If I've heard if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. That works for some people, like that thinking works for other people. For me, the biggest thing I look for like opportunities when people DM me is, does this benefit me and my business? Yes. But will this also benefit my audience? Like, does this benefit my followers, my consumers, my fans? Like, how does this benefit them? Can they truly gain from this? What can they learn from it? Even like brand collaborations, when a brand approaches me, I say no to a lot of them because I'm like, this makes no sense for my followers. They will not like this. And even though I'm a fan of it, it doesn't make sense for them. And so I really always go back to my audience to make sure those opportunities make sense for me, my business, my value pillars that I've set up, like those solid values that I've established my business on. I'm always going back to those values and really helps guide those decisions.
I love it. What do you think are the most underrated opportunities for creators right now?
I think the most underrated opportunities are the ones that nobody wants to do because they don't sound exciting. Example, having an email list, having funnels, you know, like doing all the business stuff that doesn't sound fun. I know a lot of content creators, their biggest mistake when they first start, they skip the whole personal branding. They just start creating, and which is good. Like, you want to just start creating. But if you don't have that brand strategy in place, the growth won't be as fast. Right. So they skip the whole pick your niche, target audience, define content pillars, what's your content strategy, who are you speaking to? Like, they skip that stuff. When that's skipped, nothing else works for you. Yeah. Same thing with like email lists. If you don't start an email list, trying to sell to your audience is going to be hard. Or if TikTok disappears, if Instagram disappears, growing your business is going to be hard. If you don't have funnels, increasing revenue is going to be hard. So I think the most underutilized strategies just content creators overlook are the ones that they intentionally hear a million times. They hear it over and over and over and over, and they intentionally ignore it because it's like, oh, I'm a content creator, I don't need to do that. Yeah. Those are definitely... Email,
there's a reason email marketing is effective and has been since the start of the internet.
Yeah.
Since the 90s. Like, we're going on 20 plus years of it being an extremely effective channel. Not to mention that in 2022, more than 90% of people check their email at least once a day, which is staggering.
Yeah. A really cool example of this, a girl came up to me when I had started coaching, and she was like, Millie, I want 10,000 followers on Instagram. And I'm like, I can do that for you. Let's do it. So we signed her up, 3-month coaching, and month 1, she's like, let's go. And I'm like, okay, let's work on your branding. And she was like, okay, let's niche content pillars, blah, blah. And she was like, okay, let's post to Instagram. And I'm like, skirt, no. Actually, we're going to start your email list. And she was like, seriously, Millie? Like, it's been a month. Why am I not creating content for Instagram? And I was like, trust me. So we create one freebie for her. She was a fitness coach or wanted to be a fitness coach. So she did a macro cheat sheet so somebody could easily track their macros. easy peasy. It took less than like an hour to make on Canva. Put it up there. I'm like, okay, now let's do your content strategy. Within the first 3 months of us working together, she grew 30,000 followers. She got over 2,500 people on her email list. And then once she got 2,500 people on her email list, she was like, okay, I'm ready to start coaching, because she didn't have her certification yet. So it was just like this passive growth. And then she's like, okay, I got my certification. I'm ready to start coaching. She emailed her email list and was sold out that day.
Wow.
And was able to leave her corporate job.
Amazing.
Because she did the thing she didn't want to do. And I made her do it. And she was like, Millie, I want to grow on Instagram. And I'm like,
because it's not the sexy stuff. It's not the getting followers and getting attention and making content. It's the behind the scenes, like trudging through the mud and getting the things done, like building an infrastructure.
Yes.
Like if you don't have an infrastructure, you're building on sand. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. We run into that all the time. All the time. People are like, I want to run a membership, a video membership. I'm like, great, what size is your audience? I don't have an audience. Hold your horses. Who are you going to sell to? I'm like, well, I'll just run ads. I'm like, ads for subscriptions? Not great at all. Like, our VP of growth has talked about this a lot, in that like if you try to run ads to a cold audience for a membership, your churn rate is going to explode. And you're going to create more problems than you ever solve by doing things like that. But if you have the infrastructure built, it's a totally different ballgame.
Yeah, so power of email list, people.
I love it. If you were a creator starting out right now, building an audience, what would you do to grow an audience and then begin monetizing?
I have this 100-day roadmap free training on my website, so that's an option.
What's your site?
But www.itsmodernmillie.com.
There we go.
Basically, creators starting day one, they want to grow and monetize. Obviously, branding, figure out what industry you want to be in. And people they think they know the branding part, but really think about, who do you want to be in 3 to 5 years? What do you want to be known for? Act like that now. Create content for that now. Once you figure out what industry you want to be in, who you want to attract, what that audience looks like, perfect, great. Get that established on all the social media platforms you want to be on. If you want to be on YouTube, make sure that's communicated through YouTube. Instagram, make sure that's communicated through Instagram. Next, you have like your content strategy. So really go into your market research, look at what other people in your niche or industry are creating, see what's working, adapt it, and with your unique twist. Also see what's missing. When you find those industry gaps, you can totally skyrocket. That's kind of how my brand happened about. I teach Instagram on YouTube. Nobody was like teaching Instagram. Everybody's teaching Instagram on Instagram.
Right.
Makes sense. Nobody's doing it on YouTube. So I'm like, oh, okay, let's do that. And sure enough, found a gap in the market, was able to grow my business. So market research, what's there, what's not there, fill in the blanks. Once you start posting, be consistent. Boom, boom, boom. You're posting 3 times a week if that's realistic for your lifestyle. Fantastic. Okay, now you're growing a little audience. Fantastic. You're growing here, growing there. Monetization. I skipped the email list step, but we talked so much about it. Email list with the branding. That's part of the email list.
Check.
Then monetization, you have to figure out how you want to monetize. You know, like, do you want to do affiliate marketing? Do you want to do brand collaborations, sell digital products, sell physical products, do NFTs? You know, there's so many ways. Memberships, you have platform monetization, so AdSense on YouTube, all the things. Figure out how you want to get monetized and just work on that one thing. Don't try to do multiple things at once. Work on one income stream, master that income stream, and then move on to the next.
What's one thing that you wish you could communicate to all creators?
If you don't think that you need to work on self-care, you're wrong. That's it. If you think you're fine, if you think like, no, I have a good balance, like I really have a good self-care work-life balance, there's always ways that you can get even better and protect yourself, protect your mental health, protect yourself from getting burnt out, increasing relationships in your life and investing into those people who love you and support you, your family, your friends, your significant others, partners. Like, there's always ways that you can work on yourself and better yourself, your mental health, your physical health. Prioritize that, because without you, your business will flop like it did for me. You really need Like you are your biggest business investment. You need to really invest into yourself and your self-care if you want to take your business seriously.
What would you say to somebody who sees your level of success, 6 figures going on 7, and thinks it's totally unattainable?
I would say to them, so I like this, the word desire.
Yeah.
I like to break it down. The Latin meaning of the word desire, de means of the, and sire means father. So your desires were given to you for a reason, and they literally mean of the Father, whether you believe in God or science, Mother Nature, crystals, like whatever it is you believe, that higher power gave you those desires you have for yourself inside of you for a reason. And you're like, okay, well, what's that reason? That reason is because they were meant to come to fruition. They were meant to come to life. So don't compare yourself to anybody else's success. Don't compare yourself to me, to anybody. Only focus on the desires that you have in your heart and hone in on those desires, craft them, pay attention to them because they're meant to happen. You deserve to live the life of your dreams. So like, don't let comparison stop you. Tunnel vision on you and yourself, and you'll be fine.
I love that. Where can people follow along with everything that you're doing?
They can follow me on YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok. Look up It's Modern Millie and I'll pop up.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.